give you good notes, you can always look back and show them that I did give you good notes.
What the website?
Just confusing.
Lisa said
Let's make this a little fun first. Just confusing.
Wait,
Hey, we should
if
make
you're already on
commercials
the
for
website, you don't need the website.
What's that?
If you're already on the website, you don't need the website.
I don't know what that means.
You just made a video of you saying the website that's going on the website in
But
order
you have
to
to
see
go to the
it.
website.
We could do it for Google. We could do Google advertisement and be like,
Alright, back to this here. If you remember, in order for something to be a function, and when you see it as a graph, what had to be true? Gwen? We talked about what makes, there was a test that you would use to see if something is a function. What was the test? Kylie, how?
It started at 0 and it didn't go across the line twice.
What's the name of that test? Katie Nolan? Correct. It's that vertical line test. Vertical line test, which meant this. If you had a graph of a line, let's say it was this line, you would take a whole bunch, if you could write or draw a bunch of vertical lines like this, and then that graph of that line did not cross any of those vertical lines more than once, then it is a function, okay? So today we are going to talk about being able to recognize certain functions, and you're going to have to make the connection between those two, and that's why taking good notes is a good thing. The first one we're going to talk about is the linear equations. Why do you suppose they're called linear equations? It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to connect this. Linear equations. Why linear equations, Lizzie?
these lines?
Because they're going to be lines. And what are lines? Lines are straight. They're not curvy. Okay? And in order to get a linear equation in math, it's going to look like this. Last year we did it, it looked like this. Y equals 2x plus 1. Okay? Yeah, you can write that down. But in functional notation, though, they don't use the letter y, even though it's really the same thing. They call it the function of x equals 2x plus 1. Now, in order to do this, in order to graph this, what do we need to do? There's a couple different ways, but you only probably, maybe we can tell them. You're going to need to make a little table. Looks like this. I always like to pick like -2, 0, +2, whatever. If x is -2, what's y going to be? 2 times -2 is -4, plus 1 is -3. 0 times 2 is,
0.
plus 1 is, 2 times 2 is, plus 1 is. So the graph of this, and it's okay, we'll just sketch it. The graph of this is -2, -3, 0, 1, and 2, 5. And you will get a straight line. Okay? The point of this is anytime you just have the letter x by itself, as a singular x, you'll get to what I mean later, you're going to get a straight line. Okay, now depending on what these other numbers are, that changes how the straight line looks. It could go like this, it could go like that, it could do anything. But you will always, if you have just an x, it's going to be a straight line. Okay, so probably a good thing to, this will make more sense to you when I do the next one. So anytime you have the function of x with only a singular x in your equation, you are going to get just a straight line. Okay. Now, what if it's not just an x? What if my equation is this? What if the function of x equals the square root of x? What if it's the square root of x? This is fun and exciting because some strange things happen here. If I make my table with this, ladies and gentlemen, First of all, it's nice that I get to pick my own numbers because I would pick numbers that work out nicely, which would be what? Lizzie says, give me a,
49.
okay, well, let's go with the small numbers so I don't have to do like a huge graph.
4.
4. What is the square root of 4?
2.
So when you have a 4 here, you have a 2 here. Wow, get it right there. Square root of 9 is 3. Square root of
16.
16 is 4. The square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 0 is, now note what you can't have. What, you guys all pick positive numbers, why can't I have the square root of a negative 4? Square root of a negative 4 is what? Emma Kate? A who? It is not a positive number. It's not a negative number either. There is, in reality, in our world, there is no solution to that because no matter what you pick, okay, if you pick positive 2 times positive 2, you're going to get a positive 4. If you said, well, negative 2 times negative 2, I'm going to get a positive 4. And you can't pick a negative 2 times a positive 2 because by definition of a square root, it has to be the same number. Okay, that is, by the way, where you come up with, remember we talked about number systems? You've got real numbers and you have what we call imaginary numbers. This is an imaginary number. We don't deal with that and you'll get that later in your life. Here is the graph of this. Suddenly I digress. Okay, 4 comma 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Oh look, I got all sorts of flashing. 9, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3. Let's just put it up there. I'm not going to do 16, 4. 1, 1, and 0, 0. There is nothing on this side of the graph right now. What does the graph of the square root of x look like? It's like this. I don't know what you want to call that. It's kind of like a, I don't know.
A snake.
No, but it's a curved line.
Curves.
It's a curved
Does it
kind of
matter?
upside down Nike swish sort of looking sort of thing. Now
Like
the,
you just do the basketball and it's like the little ball when you can jump.
yes, whatever it is, okay. Now the important thing to remember is that this is the square root of x. Now this little thing can change places. In other words, there might be a chance that this line ends up there like that. That all depends on what the equation looks like. Like if I had the function of x equals 3 times the square root of x minus 4. Okay, if those numbers are different in there than just x, it's just going to change the placement of this. It's going to look like this, just in a different place. So anytime you see this little half arc kind of looking thing, you know that it is a function of the square root of x sort of equation. That's the look of this. If it's a straight line, it's just a straight up x. If it's this little swish thing, it is the square root of x. Because they'll ask you, the book will give you like a graph of something and have you pick between what equations it is, and you have to recognize which one is which. I can tell you're very excited about this. Which